What's going on, guys? Soon here, and welcome back to some more Advanced Warfare. Now this week we're going to be talking about some Black Ops 3 rumours. Now after this past couple of days I've sort of been adding up ideas in my head. I've spoken to a couple of other people and I've sort of taken a few ideas. Now the first thing is we'll definitely get a flashback part to the story. That's been in every single Black Ops since Black Ops 1, and there's no chance they're going to change it. But the question is, what era is it going to be set in? But in the past we've had Black Ops 1 was sort of late 60s to early 70s, Black Ops 2 was all in the 80s, maybe Black Ops 2 will be in the 90s. There isn't too many wars though in the 90s. The advantage of the 80s was there was a lot of political conflicts and a lot of political unrest, and you had wars in Africa, you had parts of, other wars in Europe, and there was loads of stuff they could pick from, but obviously eventually they went with one of the wars in Africa. But there isn't too much that happened like that in the 90s that the US were involved with, aside from the Gulf War. Now, there wasn't a huge war, but there's a possibility they can use it. Now the one question is, are they going to go really sort of mid-90s, or are they going to go early 90s? The Gulf War was 1991. They could maybe go later and involve other wars that happened later on, but there aren't obviously too many aside from that. I think most likely they'll go with the Gulf War, or they'll pretend that there was some CIA involvement with another war possibly, but we'll have to wait and see. There's so many could choose from. Maybe they won't do a war, maybe they'll do stuff like the Bill Clinton problem, maybe they'll do things like that, and try and tie in that in some way into the story. Now, with the way Black Ops 2 ended, there isn't really much of a possibility of there being a continuation of that story. Unfortunately, I think the Mason story is over, because at the end of the game, we did see that you either had the option to send Menendez to prison, or he went to prison, escaped, killed Woods, or I believe there's one, obviously there's one you can kill him, and I believe there's two or few more where certain stuff happens, but there isn't too much of a link with the Mason family. You don't actually know what happens to them after that, but honestly I think there's too many possibilities to an ending that they can tie in. The advantage of RPG games like Skyrim is that they're designed specially so that no matter the character who dies, no matter stuff like that, your game will not affect the next one. Mass Effect has a similar thing to that, but that's solely built upon a single player story. I hardly imagine that Call of Duty will tie in Black Ops 2 to Black Ops 3, and if they do, it's only going to be the ending. Maybe they'll tie it in. If Menendez died for you, this is going to happen. If he didn't die for you, then this is going to happen. But honestly, I think they're going to go with a completely different name, aside from the Mason name. Maybe tie in not Alex Mason, maybe tie in Alex Mason's son, and possibly have a new family, or maybe even they just set a base story. Maybe the series is most popular from Black Ops 2, and they'll go with that. But there isn't too much we can gather from that. Now, one of the things that's been causing controversy in the community lately is the fact that there might be exosuits in Black Ops 3. Now, there was one picture which is on screen now, which was released sort of showing possibly an exosuit. Honestly, I don't think it is. There are a few other possibilities to what it could be. There's cybernetics, which is sort of enhanced strength and ability. Maybe the guy can sprint longer and further, but maybe no boosting, or side strafing super quick, stuff like that. There's a possibility it's just armor, so this is just like a heavy duty armor that goes around the arms. That's probably the least likely, but the most practical, because nobody really wants to see exosuits, including me. Honestly, people did complain about quality never being different, and the exosuits did kind of kill that. I haven't heard that argument in a long time. So maybe they could have done the exosuits as the one-off. Maybe it'll become Sledgehammer's staples. Like every year they bring out a game, they'll do exosuits as well. I'd imagine there will be a sequel to Advanced Warfare, because it was pretty damn popular, and honestly I like it myself. Now, one thing that did pop up this week was the Frank Woods account actually tweeted out, "The subject of Exos rages on. It's popping up everywhere, but how closely do the game developers follow DARPA developments?" Now, DARPA stands for Defensive Advancement or Defense Advancement Research Projects Agency, and basically what they design is they designed super futuristic technology in order to help American soldiers to make sure they don't get injured or killed in combat. Now, one of the things they have been working on is exosuits, but not exosuits like they are in Advanced Warfare. They've been working on exosuits that mean that you can, carry heavy equipment, and you can run a little bit faster, and you can just lift heavy stuff without actually needing much assistance, aside of course from the exosuit. Now that could maybe be in the game. It wouldn't play too much of an advantage unless it tied into story and didn't actually involve in the game. But it might actually be in multiplayer. I was surprised when exosuits were announced in multiplayer for Advanced Warfare. And honestly, I do kind of hope if they do introduce exosuits that they are this sort of basic type where it's just strength, it's not actually like super boost and stuff like that. Now, another thing that DARPA has been somewhat working on, it's unofficial, but there are rumours that they have been working on it, is railguns. Now I'm talking, you know, super advanced guns. And the reason I say this is because Frank Woods also tweeted out saying muzzle velocity approx 3000 FPS. Now I'm a little bit skeptical about this one because usually when you measure the velocity of a gun, it's done in meters per second, and I'm not actually sure what FPS will stand for. Probably feet per second, but I imagine that's not so good compared to meters per second. But it's kind of weird that he tell this anyway. And the only thing I could find that actually came close to that was a railgun. That's unconfirmed though. That could be just a little, you know, tease. I might be completely wrong. I might be completely wrong about all of this. This is just speculation. Now DARPA, like I said, are apparently not making a railgun, but they are working on other stuff like precision strikes, responsive engagement, basically meaning UAVs will help bombers target certain targets, and you know, help them destroy them. Especially they'll fly in together, all lock onto the same one, and it'll be precise targeting, and also kinetic and non-kinetic effects, which include plasma and atmospherics. Now there could possibly be that they build a giant plasma gun in space and end up shooting it down to the earth. That could be actually really cool. We have seen a similar thing in Advanced Warfare, but maybe this is like a completely blown out of one. Maybe this is a huge one that is kind of like the missile strikes we saw in Ghost. There is a possibility of that. Now, one thing DARPA has been working on is brain implantments that allow you to defeat or, you know, get over post-traumatic stress. Now, if you remember, in the trailer we saw CAT scans or CT scans of someone's brain. Now, this could possibly be someone getting this implant to overcome their fear. Remember the man I was talking about? Our greatest barrier is our own fear, our own doubts. The only thing holding us back is how far we are willing to go. That could possibly mean someone suffering from post-traumatic stress, and you know, this is a great soldier, but they just can't face what happened during a war they were involved in. Now, one thing that people actually suffered a lot from was Vietnam. There were a lot of people suffering from PTSD after Vietnam. There could possibly be a link there. You know, maybe it's not going to follow the typical timeline. Maybe this is going back to Vietnam. It's going to follow more of Alex Mason and Frank Woods, and you know, show more of their experience, and maybe they get PTSD, and you know, Alex Mason ends up getting help, or maybe even Frank Woods gets help, or maybe even, you know, these soldiers are just eliminating their fear because they found a way to change this. This could all be just wide open, you know, explanations. So far we have no solid information. We're not even sure of the time. At the moment I'm estimating around about 2030 odd, because they wouldn't go up to 2050 because that's Advanced Warfare, that's too far ahead, that's already been covered. But they wouldn't do 2020 again, so I'm imagining 2030 up until around about 2040, 2050 at the very most. Now, I really want to hear what you guys have to say. I really want to find out what you think about all of this, any theories you have. Nothing will sound stupid. You'll sound more stupid if you don't say anything and then say, oh yeah, I expected that, and you actually did. No one will believe you. So you can tweet out anything now, even if it sounds completely idiotic, and you know, no one's even gonna comment, because it's gonna be ages to actually find out anything about this game. Personally, I think a lot of these theories could be wild notes, but we've seen more wilder things in the Call of Duty game before. So go ahead and do that. Also follow my Twitter. I do a lot of news posts on there, and I make sure to update you guys whenever I can. Now, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you guys on the next video. This is Blue Monsoon, out.